So I was wandering through the YouTubes, minding my own business, when I found this wonderful video done by an old friend, GurryGurloX, and I wanted to watch this video for laughs. Lo and behold, Hellsing920, aka Emer, commented on this video and decided to turn this outright parody into serious business, just so he can badmouth the community and act like he knows more about the YouTube guidelines since, of course, he's part of the YouTube police. So anyways, Emer has this chip on his shoulder when it comes to commentators. I guess because he does not like the attitude of all of us, or because we're all vindictive cyberbullies whose hatred knows no bounds, or something like that. Who knows why? But the sad truth remains. Emer dislikes us. And how is Emer going to dispatch our horrendous treatment of other YouTube users? By calling our videos violation of copyright. Let me read this comment, which apparently 4 people found to be enlightening.
Funny how he bangs on about the community guidelines, even though his video is in violation of one of those guidelines. Correct me if I'm wrong, but his commentary is on your entire video, right? Therefore, cutting all his shit, you would have had an unaltered, unedited version of your video. Therefore, the use of your footage wouldn't fall under fair use, and therefore be in violation of the copyright guidelines on YouTube. Just thought I would throw that one out there. However, it's a problem almost the entire commentary community can't wrap their head around. It's a commentary isn't enough to call fair use.
Now, Emer, let's dissect this condescending comment and see if it has at least one iota of redeeming value. First of all, I did not constantly rail about the community guidelines in the original video. If you had bothered to sit through and watch, which common sense and past experience tells me no, you probably sat through the video up until that point and ignored all other contextual details because your bias clouded your judgment, the guidelines were mentioned in only one response to Gurry. That was it. And the response was in reference to standards on YouTube. YouTube has a definite set of standards, and the community guidelines attempt to be the bedrock for which the standards exist. So, no, I'm not evangelizing the standards, I was simply bringing that to Gurry's attention. Next, you claim my video is a violation of the guidelines since it infringes on Gurry's copyright, or something. Let's see if I can deconstruct your statement here. You believe that because I uploaded a commentary on his video, which is one of the main qualifications for fair use since it includes criticism, that means I have violated his copyright, even though you show absolutely zero proof that Gurry claimed copyright on a video that he made 2 years ago. Did he conduct an intellectual property audit with an attorney to ensure copyright was preserved? Did he consult with the Copyright Office? If you cannot produce legal papers or any substantive proof, then I'm sorry, your comment makes 0 sense. Moving on, you also want to turn the comment section of a parody video into a sermon in which you, at the pulpit, dictate to everyone that the commentary community is nothing but a bunch of silly, pathetic users who have no idea what copyright is and must be addressed accordingly. Apparently, being a white knight for YouTube's copyright guidelines and distorting information is negligible in comparison to the systemic issue of the commentary community being unable to reach your level of understanding. Well, apparently, you obviously know more than we do. Start the crusade to take us down. And you shouldn't stop there. You should also target other people that are guilty of the same bullcrap we're doing. You should go after people like Sargon of Akkad, or Armored Skeptic, or Dr. Randomercam, or Potholer54, or Cute Fuzzy Weasel. And the list goes on. And why stop there? You can target those that do live reactions of large portions of content, such as Lexical Medley, who reacts to MLP episodes and other related MLP content. Oh, by the way, you should also target Let's Players, since they are reacting to entire games. Some have the temerity to show unedited gameplay footage. I also want to make a final point. Copyright is not immediately established when you upload a video on YouTube. The copyright fairy does not grant you the exclusive rights to your content when you upload willy-nilly. YouTube allows you ownership rights, but YouTube still retains licensing rights, i.e. they can redistribute, monetize, or republish your video, as you agreed to do in the terms of service. So if you want to go down that route and say that Gurry gained copyright when he uploaded the video, you might want to consider how horrendously oversimplified that statement is. It's a slippery slope, Emer, and what it proves is that you have some distaste towards the community because you probably got caught in an argument or someone called you out or something to that effect. Many people dislike those that have grudges, and many more still dislike people who act smug and decide their crusade is about those that disapproved of him or her in the past. Clearly, that's an issue you should resolve on your own. Everyone's probably asking at this point,
why didn't you just respond with a comment? Why make a video?
I want to make this comment an example for other people who think that commentaries are violations of the YouTube guidelines. It did not work when certain users called commentaries violations of the community standards due to harassment or hate speech, and it's not going to work calling them copyright violations. This is a misconception I want to resolve through video form, since more people will pay attention through this method. Plus, why not fill the void with actual video content by me? I need to get back into the game after all. Anyways, that's all I have to say about it. Emer, I await your response. Should you want to respond, and thank you for watching.
Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a movie from 2013. That movie is Snowpiercer. Before I get started, I should tell you literally everything I know about this movie. I know, one, it's based on a French comic book. Because it's based on a comic book, it qualifies for Longbox Chronicles month. Two, I know it stars Chris Evans, which is becoming a bit of a running pattern this month. Quite a few movies I've done this month star Chris Evans. Three, I know it's set in the post-apocalypse. Four, I know it's set on a train. Five, I know there's snow everywhere. At least I'm going to assume so because of the fucking title. That's it. I have not watched a single trailer. I haven't seen any clips. I didn't bother to read the back. That's all that I know, and none of that sounds interesting to me in the slightest.
I understand you wanted to go into this movie blind, but don't you think in a way it would have been a good idea to see a small clip or something to give you an idea of what kind of movie you're getting yourself into?
Because apparently that is when Netflix decided to put this thing on their streaming service. And since nobody ever listens when I tell them I don't have Netflix anymore because I'm not paying for that shit, everybody assumed I could just watch it off Netflix. No.
If you're getting annoyed with telling people that you don't have Netflix anymore, then why didn't you make a small update video telling people, hey guys, I just want to say I don't use Netflix anymore, so can you please stop asking me to watch movies on there? Like, why wasn't that a viable option to you, since I'm sure your audience would understand that?
Quick, make me forget that shit! Right, never happened.
Are you really telling me Curtis is able to stop this entire train engine using only his arm? Seriously? This train's gears are... the motion of the engine is so piss weak that it doesn't immediately just sever his goddamned arm?
You're only half right. Yes, it was partly to stop the engine, but while some of it could be explained as dramatic tension, I think it was more Curtis stalling the engine long enough to get the kid that was working on the parts out of there since a bomb was about to explode nearby. Not to mention, it did eventually sever his arm.
Quick, make me forget that shit! Right, never happened.
And thus we are led into our film, whose primary conflict is upper class versus lower class, the head of the train versus the tail of the train. I referenced Caddyshack at the start of this video. I'm going to tell you guys right now, that is a horrible insult to Caddyshack. Not only did Caddyshack do this whole fucking, upper class versus lower class thing better, Caddyshack fucking 2 did it better. Process that shit for just a fucking minute.
Okay, I have two issues here. The first is Snowpiercer and Caddyshack. If we take out the rich people versus poor people, or in Caddyshack's case, snobs versus slobs, is an apple to oranges comparison to make because one is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi action film and the other is a comedy, so both films have very different goals when they are being made. 2. While I will grant you that the upper class versus lower class part in the story of Snowpiercer is very in your face and unsubtle, there are themes in our metaphors you can argue are more subtle if you look deeper, such as how when you're a youth, you're taught a certain way, to think of the world a certain way. Just look at the school scene as an example. This could be a problem when you're reacting to a movie and then reviewing it right afterwards. You might not notice the more subtle themes of the movie you're talking about after the first viewing.
Quick, make me forget that shit! Right, never happened.
I am not going to spoil any of the other twists, because if you really want to watch this thing, by all means, go right ahead. But I think it might be best to know that Chris Evans Chris Evans' character, Curtis, loves to eat babies as you're going into the film. That might actually help, because then you can at least process in your brain that he at one point actually had a personality, even if said personality was just that he likes to eat fucking babies.
One, it was hinted at earlier in the movie when in one scene Curtis mentions how long he's been alive for, and didn't want to mention what happened when you first met John Hurt's character, and here we find out why, as well as why he hates Wilford. So this wasn't a bombshell that came completely out of nowhere. Even with that in mind, let's look at the context of the scene. As you have stated, it was character development for Curtis, because when they first boarded the train, they took everything and the people in the back had no food or water. Now let's think about this for a minute. If you are starving, chances are you would go nuts and eat just about anything just to survive, and that's exactly what happened. They were so desperate for food that they were willing to cannibalize until they were given those unappetizing protein blocks. And in that scene, you could tell even Curtis didn't like to talk about it and was regretful. There was a lot more that could be said about that twist than what you're describing, Emer.
Quick, make me forget that shit. Right, never happened.
Let's see. One of them is black and is looking for a child. One of them is ginger and is looking for a child. And, he also had a fucking arm, frozen and then snapped off of his body. Of course, you never see that on camera, but oh well, who fucking cares? That really is about as close as he ever gets to personality.
Okay, I have two things I like to say here. One, well, yes, his arm was frozen solid. One can argue that some things are more excruciating when we don't really see the act on screen, but rather a sound which would tell you what happened. 2. Let's think of it like this. If you had children snatched away from your arms to probably be brainwashed, chances are you would be extremely angry, which is very human. While they are not the most developed characters, especially since you are talking about secondary characters, you can make the argument that they do feel human for those scenes.
By the way, every single one of those characters I just mentioned, and this honestly is in no way a spoiler, well, it is somewhat, except you should see it, coming within the first couple of minutes. Every last one of them, except for Chris Evans, dies. Actually, even he might be dead. That ending's sort of open about that.
No, they never hinted Curtis surviving the explosion. The ending was more showing that life does exist outside of the train with that shot of the polar bear. And again, if you paid attention to the movie, you know that, like with Curtis admitting that in the first month on the train he was a cannibal, Mitsu hinted that as not only did he mention to Curtis that the ice and snow was melting, since he was able to see the wings of a plane that were stuck in ice after all this time, but he also said that while they were in the greenhouse, he saw something but didn't mention it to Curtis. When you're going to review a movie, make sure to pay attention to important scenes like that.
Quick, make me forget that shit. Right, never happened.
Our camera work is good, except for the fucking scene around the middle, which is shot in night vision and also in shaky cam, which is bringing back memories of that horrendously terrible rollerball remake, which also had a shaky cam night vision scene out of fucking nowhere, which had no reason to be there. Of course, this movie attempts to fucking justify it by going, by the way, every single person you're fighting now suddenly have night fucking vision, and we're gonna be going into a long tunnel. So basically, now the viewers are going to get to either see night vision or nothing but solid darkness for the next couple of minutes. So strap in. Yeah, oh my god. Yeah, that honestly is like the one scene I think we did not need. We did not need the overlong, drawn-out fight scene in that fucking train car as the train is going over a bridge, which apparently is supposed to signify that it is a new fucking year. And then they go through this long tunnel, and then there's nothing but darkness or fucking shaky night fucking vision bullshit. That entire scene did not have to be there, and it's probably one of the only negatives I'm going to cite next to the fucking writing.
First off, if you stutter, why didn't you do retakes? That could be a problem when you're going unscripted, especially when you make this point after listening some positives for the movie, which makes this review come off as disorganized. Second, not everyone who watches your videos will know what example you're talking about. So, could you show something like a clip or heck, even a still, to show what you were talking about? Like I mentioned in my one-shot to Fugitive Red Eye on his review of Resurrection F, that can help your audience see where you're coming from. Lastly, I can get why someone may not like this scene, and sure, it could have been trimmed, but having said that, in my humble opinion, I thought it was well done because you were in the same circumstance as the people who were revolting, in a sense of disorientation. I mean, think about it. If you were all of a sudden used to light and then it became pitch black, you would be disoriented because you can't see, while the ones they are fighting have night vision. Considering this is a review and you just watched the movie, it does make me wonder how you didn't take that into consideration.
Our soundtrack here is good. Our sound mix is good. I do have to comment on subtitles because there are a lot of characters here who do not speak English, and thankfully they are all subtitled. At one point, one of them is talking, and we have a shot outside of the train. You guys happen to know outside of the train, where there's nothing but snow and it's all perfectly white? Yeah, it probably wasn't the best idea to go with white subtitles when everything outside is pure white, and thus you can't read half the fucking subtitle in that goddamn shot. Again, that is a minor problem. It could have been fixed by putting a black outline around the subtitles, or maybe making the subtitles yellow. Doing anything outside of just doing plain white subs would have totally fixed that one shot. Since everything else in the film is so fucking dark, it's not even a problem. But in that one shot, actually, I think there might have been another shot too, where you cannot read the subtitles because it's just bleeding into the massive, copious amounts of white that are seen in the background. Beyond those couple of things, the subtitles here are fine.
I understand I am returning a nitpick with a nitpick of my own, but I've seen this movie too, and while yes, they do have white subtitles, as you can see, they also had black outlines, so I was able to read it alright. Furthermore, again, this is why going unscripted can be a bad idea when giving a review on something, because in this case, you made a point, then immediately afterwards backtrack to correct yourself. In the reviewing segment, don't you think it would have been useful to either take notes or rewatch the movie again to make sure?
So apparently there's a new non-traversy floating around YouTube.
What the fuck is a non-traversy? Is this just your way of saying it's not a big deal? Because you're missing the point of the word controversy, which is a public prolonged disagreement. It's like, yeah, I get that you don't think it's a big deal, but going on so far to say that it isn't a controversy is really underplaying the situation, as YouTube is hurting content creators just in general.
I've already gotten a couple of questions asking me all about it, and frankly, I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. For those of you who haven't heard, like the scant few of you who haven't heard about this, apparently YouTube has this new policy which renders videos ineligible for monetization for not being, quote, not advertiser friendly, end quote. The thing about this, guys, first of all, this is not a new policy. I know because one of my videos was struck with that very ruling, that very not advertiser friendly, therefore not fit for monetization thing 6 years ago.
But does that change the fact that it's happening again? Does that somehow make YouTube's censorship any less severe because of that? Because if so, let's try using that logic with some other scenarios. Oh, there was a woman in a dark alleyway who was forcefully pinned down to have sex with a man even though she didn't want to? I ignore. That stuff has happened before. Oh, the stock market crashed and the banks lost all our money? No big deal. We've dealt with this shit before. Several million Jewish people, gypsies, homosexuals, and Jehovah's Witnesses are getting rounded up and put into inhumane camps that will result in them being gassed to death? Ha, that'll be over before you know it. After all, it's happened before. My point is, just because it has happened before, that does not under any circumstances mean that it happening again is any less of a problem. You can have a few hundred viruses on your computer, thus bogging it down and causing things to become unusable. Just because it happened before doesn't mean your computer isn't going to be any less bogged down.
If you don't believe me, just go over to my YouTube channel and do a search for the phrase Ground Zero Mosque, and you'll see a video I did 6 years ago talking about the supposed controversy around a community center that was being built near the Ground Zero site.
There you go again, denying something as a controversy. Is there just no such thing as a controversy in your eyes? Is everything always not a big deal to you? It's like, guess abortion isn't a controversial topic. No one has been arguing for or against that in forever. No siree.
Even if you're not trying to do that, you do know we can't see what you're talking about, right? We can't see your analytics, nor do you even try to show in this video what you're even saying is true. No emails, no screenshots, nothing. Like your hopes and breeding, it's just not gonna happen.
The day I uploaded that, which was just over 6 years ago, I got an email saying that I would not be able to monetize it because it is not advertiser friendly.
Oh, really? You were notified the day you uploaded it? 6 years ago? Well, by this debacle, YouTube admitted that they didn't start notifying people until just now. So, you just lied to prove a point. And don't try to say I twisted your words.
The day I uploaded that, which was just over 6 years ago, I got an email saying that I would not be able to monetize it because it is not advertiser friendly.
You said it black and white that you were notified about this 6 years ago. How? I swear, you're so special I just want to pinch your cheeks and keep holding them and hold you over a pit of hungry dogs by your jowls. I swear, your credibility walked right out of the door when you said this. Well, me and Doodles don't really need to stay here any further. But honestly, I'm bored, my feet hurt, my net is busted, so I can't really do much. So, yeah.
Now, why haven't you guys heard about that from me? Why didn't I mention, these past 6 years that video wasn't fit for monetization? Well, for one thing, I didn't even attempt to monetize the video. I felt it was a bit too serious a topic to actually attempt to monetize it, and it would have been a scumbag move for me to try to monetize it. But also because I don't care about making money on YouTube as much, guys, as I love getting that payment every single month. It's not what drives me.
Cool. It's not entirely what drives me either. It's probably not what drives a lot of people. You aren't some special snowflake in this world, so what's your fucking point?
It doesn't drive me at all. Just don't forget to donate to my Patreon, support my channel through donations on YouTube, check out my wishlist on Amazon, and don't forget to turn off that pesky ad block. Look, I never spit in the face of people that want to make money on what they love to do. It's the American dream, don't you know? But my major issue with this, which weirdly enough is my major issue with anyone that uses this bullshit statement to make themselves feel superior, is their actions contradict their claims. They make it a point to make it well aware, I don't do it for the money. Now if you just watch this ad, it feels like a false claim to make people feel comfortable. It's a lie to push an agenda and get more people watching. Saying what people want to hear, not what they need to hear, is marketing 101.
On this channel, let me explain, guys. I have been on YouTube across now 2 channels for around a decade now. And you know what? For most of that time, for at least half of it, I never made a cent.
Makes a point to say he got demonetized 6 years ago. Didn't try to make money on YouTube for at least half a decade. Okay, follow me here. Let's say what you said earlier about getting notified was true. That would just contradict what you just said. For anyone who doesn't know, the only way you can know you can get monetized or not is by verifying your account. The few reasons to verify your account back then was to add longer videos, add custom thumbnails, and make money. So under the thought that you're willing to lie in your own videos to make a point and appeal to people's emotions, what's stopping me from saying that you were monetizing back then? Huh? Your word? You lost at the moment you kicked Doodle's dog.
Fluffy, no!
On this channel. Why? Because my goal was not to make money. My goal was not to worry about how much money I'm pulling in. My big concern was being able to entertain you guys. The fact that there are people on this site complaining because they can't make money on their videos shows me, and should hopefully show you, that they care more about lining their pockets than they do entertaining you.
Hey, wake up.
What did he say?
Yes, my 17,000 minions. Unsubscribe to anyone who has wanted to make a job being an entertainer because they're clearly just doing it for the cash.
Seriously? Seriously. You mean to tell me that Mr. Epsilon is only doing his videos for cash? You mean to tell me that SXC Phil is only doing it for his cash? Yeah, a bit of an eye-opener, Emer. You're fucking retarded if that's what you believe. In fact, most people who are doing this as a job is doing it to be in the entertainment business. They're doing it to be entertainers.
This also implies that YouTube gives everyone enough to do this only for the money. Newsflash, Emer, not everyone complaining is doing it because they can't buy their fancy houses, Ferraris, and speedboats. Hell, I would even argue the highest paying YouTubers can barely do that. Yes, it's been reported that PewDiePie's net worth is around 61 million as of this year. But here's the fun fact that your sugar-based mind most likely didn't comprehend. 1, net worth does not equal how much they have, and 2, missed the fun one, not every YouTuber has millions of subscribers. Most YouTubers, if not the majority, can only make enough money to make ends meet in life. Guys like Cat Icarus, Armored Skeptic, Lyle McDouchebag, Chase Face Show, Chris Raygun, Your Movie Sucks, just to name a few, will care because this is literally taking food off their table and forcing people into positions no one in media should be put in. A job market that will not hire you based on the amount of subs you have or how long you can hold a camera once. Even if they did have millions of subs, this doesn't mean they pocket all the money. YouTubers like PewDiePie and Markiplier have not only raised millions of dollars in charity out of their own pockets, but guys like them and Philip DeFranco hire on extra help to keep their channels running, keep their foundations going, keep their merch on the shelves, help work on their videos, and maybe, just maybe, these guys have families to feed too. I know it sounds like I'm getting off track, but I have a point. These people are making money off of YouTube, and yes, this will bother them, but you're implying that they don't want to entertain people either. You're implying that they didn't start making videos for fun and to entertain people. If YouTubers are expected to do this for cheap, hell, by the way you're talking about it, for free, people wouldn't have the ability to make videos to entertain because they wouldn't have the time to do it anymore. Even then, the people that only do it for the money are usually the laughingstocks of YouTube, used as straw men for the argument, only make enough to pay everyone that works on the account, or is only made to make back the money from the website / TV show / movie trailers / albums that are put on the website without their permission. Yes, these YouTubers care about the money they make, but they care about making more so they can spend more time to make better videos for their audience, not to make enough to buy them a third mansion. Unlike how you only want to make more money so you can get your 53rd pizza this week.
I've heard quite a few channels, or rather quite a few creators, content creators, complaining because they can't make money anymore on a bunch of their videos. And do you want to know what I almost never hear from them? I almost never hear any of them say, I'm not making money on my videos, but that's totally fine because my content is still there, you guys can still watch it, and I'm happy for that much. No, they don't care about that.
Padding, padding, choke on a chicken leg.
Say, Emer, let's paint a picture, shall we? Let's just say you're working as a tech support guy. You do your job well, and you enjoy your job, and get paid a rather nice salary at the end of each week. Now imagine that salary suddenly gets taken away from you. You don't get paid to do your job, and someone walks up to you and says, Dude, why are you doing a job that you enjoy for money? You should be fine with just doing it for fun. Sounds good to you, right, Emer? Suddenly not getting paid for the job that you do, suddenly not having an income to live off of, because if that's cool with you, then hey, more power to you. I hope you enjoy starving to death without a house.
Fun fact, Emer. Armored Skeptic and Philip DeFranco have already stated that this is not going to hurt them and this is not censorship, but it's still messed up. Hell, Lalmic, Douchebag, Your Movie Sucks, and Ill Will Press haven't even been hit yet and they still made videos saying it's fucked up. I brought up people that aren't affected by the loss of money or haven't even been hit yet that find an issue with this process. I brought up proof. So where is yours? And no, for the 50 billionth time, your cheeseburger blow-up doll is not proof.
They don't give the slightest rat's ass about you or you as a viewer. And that is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, because being transparent about what's happening behind the scenes and telling your audience what the creators go through on a daily basis from new policies is not giving a shit at all. Is he being for real right now? Does he really think this appeal to emotion argument will work on everyone? Does he use his head for anything other than chewing on Cheeto dust?
Okay. And you know, I can almost guarantee I'm going to hear that a whole bunch of these people who have had their who've had their videos fucking monetized are going to say, well they don't have any other job outside of YouTube. Why is that my problem? Moreover, why is that your problem?
Alright, let's continue this little game of shoes, shall we? You are an actor, you know, someone like Johnny Depp or Will Smith, someone who the world likes and enjoys, alright? Got that picture down? Alright, now imagine someone telling you to get a real job. What do you do in that sense? See, an entertainer is a real job. People don't tend to realize that YouTube at base level basically makes you an entertainer or an actor as it was, and while some people do it as a hobby and enjoy it, others want to take it a step further and want to make what they love doing a job. They want to make money doing what they love, and the minute that paycheck gets taken away, they now have to be forced to find a job that they may not enjoy as much. It's pretty much the dream of everyone to be able to make money doing what they love to do. That doesn't mean that they're only in it for the money. Now, that said, are there people who only want to do this for the cash? Sure, I won't deny that fact. Some people are probably out there only to make a quick buck every month or so, but you're lumping in those people with the population of YouTubers who want to make money doing what they love. And in that sense, overgeneralizing the population of people who have an issue with YouTube's passive-aggressive censorship.
And to answer your question, I'll make this brief. I know, shocker. The moment these people can no longer make enough to make videos on YouTube is the moment they leave the website, or the creation of videos dwindles to the point of non-existence. Branching off of this, the moment they leave is the moment advertisers leave. The moment they leave is the moment the incentive of the website to stay up dwindles. It has been reported that YouTube is the least profitable endeavor that Google owns, and we all know what happens when Google is done with their toys. And to go off the hypotheticals, the moment the videos start dying is the moment new and frequently made videos are only based on channels that have been proven to only be made for profit. This entire argument is stating that we, the creators and fans, are being shafted by a dead process made by Hollywood.
Guys, I happen to remember a couple of years ago when a pair of worthless douchebags by the name of Angry Joe and Linkara were complaining because people were using ad block on their fucking videos. They sat there and bitched and pissed and moaned. Linkara complained because he didn't have a full-time job and that making his retarded little Power Ranger videos and comic book videos was his full-time job. Angry Joe pitched this huge hissy fit because he quit working at Dell to work full-time on his shitty little videos. Guess what? That should not be my problem. That shouldn't be your problem. It's Joe's fault for being stupid enough to quit a real job, and it's Linkara's fault for being too fucking lazy to get one.
This coming from the guy who most likely still lives in his parents' basement, sucking down every Pringles can he can find in a 5-foot radius.
Again, would you tell Johnny Depp to get a real job? Would you tell Peter Dinklage, Naomi Watts, and off-the-topic factors and more on performers? Would you tell Calvin Harris, Adele, Drake, Justin Bieber, Justin Timberlake? Would you have told Siskel and Ebert to get a real job? Where does the line get drawn between a real job and a bullshit hobby that would just be done for a little extra change, Emer? Linkara has a real job. Angry Joe has a real job. And of course they were bitching about adblock because it hurt the income they were making. Would you like to give up your paycheck doing whatever real job you do? Take the fucking stick out of your ass and open your eyes. YouTube has gotten to the point where it has become a real job. So what constitutes as a real job, Emer? Do you have to officially be hired to do whatever you do? Well, in that case, networks. You know, like the Screenwave Media Network Linkara is under, or Angry Joe's network, Maker Studios, officially hires those who wish to join their networks. They become employees of a company that wishes to make money and in turn still pays their creators. You know, like every single business out there. And what about those who self-employed? Do those people not have real jobs? Because even taking out the fact that networks make this hobby into a job, there are some who make a steady living not being under a network who basically try to self-employ themselves. Sargon of Akkad is an example that comes to mind. Someone who, according to Social Blade, can make at the very minimal $1,100 doing what he does per month. And that's at the very minimal. Who's ever gonna hit their absolute lowest point, I ask you? Try again, buddy.
I would also like to make a point of what they are talking about. What they were talking about was not the fact of them not making giant amounts of money. They were talking about making a living. Making enough to live and the sacrifices they made to make it to where they are now. Angry Joe had a guaranteed living and livelihood while working at Dell, and he sacrificed the potential future of success of higher living for a shot of even doing what he loves for a living, let alone the smallest margins of success. Linkara was worse. He had nothing to live off of. He had nothing to really sacrifice. He was in an all-or-nothing situation, and he still made the sacrifice to make it. And they succeeded. Here's my question to you. What sacrifices are you willing to make for your viewers, for your fans, for the people who will do anything to help you out? Hey guys, I sacrificed my Pizza Hut money to buy a game that you're not going to see me play. I did it all for you. You are the full example of a man that has never made a single sacrifice in his life because he likes to live in a safe little bubble. You don't have the balls to do anything great in your life because it takes effort, and getting off your ass at this point would be considered exercise. And exercise means sacrificing your time for masturbating to the Criterion Collection, and God knows you need to keep that schedule up. What? You thought I was only going to make fat jokes? Jesus, I'm not that predictable.
Now, if you're going to tell me that Philip fucking DeFranco doesn't have a full-time job, well, tough shit. Then he is going to have to start flipping fucking burgers while making his videos on the side.
Hey, Anderson Cooper, go get a job at McDonald's, because news reporting isn't a real job according to Emer here. Just cover the news off to the side for some extra pocket change. Do you get the point yet, Emer?
Yeah, he doesn't have a full-time job. That's why he just has an entire staff that's working underneath him, doing his research, editing, and making sure his channel's working at tip-top shape while he's working alongside them. He also has to take care of a family to support on a weekly basis. This is the reason why he has a problem. This is not only a job for him, this is also a job for people he hired on. Several of the people that are complaining about this issue, like Philip DeFranco, are now past the one-man team mentality of being a YouTube creator. He has to pay these people with money, not the Mountain Dew and trash can food you shovel down your throat every single week.
Okay? And if he doesn't like that, well, tough shit, buddy boy. Guess what?
If I have to work at Wendy's with no friends, and so do they.
If YouTube wants to mark if they want to take down your video and say it's not fit for monetization, YouTube has every right to do so. This is their platform.
He never said they didn't have the right to do so. In fact, he kind of states the contrary in saying that they do have the right to do so.
Thing is, I will say, I love YouTube. Obviously, it looks like they're well within their rights to do this. It's their damn website.
Most of what Philip DeFranco was arguing was that the system is too goddamn vague. Did you at all watch this video? Because it sounds to me as if you're just arguing with your head up your ass.
Hell, adding on to the people that aren't popular that said the same thing, like Lau McDouchebag and Armored Skeptic. Jeez. Can we just call this Projection the movie now?
Sure, why not?
Okay? You still have the right to say whatever you want. Okay? They are not taking down your videos. All they are doing is taking away your ability to make money on certain videos.
Weird. I have this feeling that someone else would agree with you on that one.
Also then lends itself to the argument that a lot of people have that YouTube is censoring people that don't agree with everything social justice warriors are saying. But to that, I would not say I 100% agree with that camp. Based on everything I've been looking at, everyone's getting hit. I got hit, and yes, it does seem to be on a lot of videos where I have some not too liberal thoughts. But then a group that's also been hit a lot are the Young Turks, who are anything but conservative. People have also been getting hit for talking about topics like depression, even acne. And the more
But who?
And so far, as far as I can tell, this has hit an absolute minority of users. The very fact that so many people are talking about it, the very fact that I'm talking about it because so many people have asked, is nothing short of sad.
If this is not an issue to begin with, no one, I mean no one would be bringing this up into the light. YouTubers make near to nothing on a video basis. Some have to find ways around it just to make a livelihood. Hell, guys like Philip DeFranco stated that he had to find ways around to just make more money so he can get a staff and a workplace and a place to call home. This money isn't lining their pockets. It's going to other means. They aren't as shallow as you, mister. I was on El Rey once. Now where's my bucket of ranch?
And let me just follow this up with one final question. I just wanted to just sort of vent here a little bit because this entire thing is fucking stupid.
So many jokes, so little time. Actually, Doodles, can you do me a favor? Can you put 30 seconds on the clock?
Okay.
That's rich coming from the guy who's willing to watch Sallow and thought it was a new and original idea to review. I honestly don't know which one's harder to believe, the fact that you said that or the fact that you passed on going to thirds at the buffet. It's hard to take that seriously coming from the guy who can make a waiter cry. This coming from the guy who is so inane he thought proper Chinese is what you learn at a fast food restaurant. This coming from the guy who most likely thinks a GED is what you get when you have your third heart attack at Denny's. $5 he thought Chubby Bunny was a challenge of whoever's the fattest in a Playboy girl outfit. Well, at least he won in that regard. It's hard to take that serious from a guy who does everything to be original. Not only that, he's so incompetent in making videos, he makes Jinx content look homely. And last, but not least, like this entire video?
Congratulations! You had every low-hanging fruit you could find!
I'd like to thank the Academy!
But let me ask you this. All of these people who are complaining because they're not making money on their YouTube videos, how many of them have Patreon accounts?
I love how he's saying all of this like he's saying, holy shit, people want to make money?
How many of them are making enough money on Patreon alone to live off of. Most of them probably are. Most of them don't need YouTube revenue to get by. Hell, most of them could probably make even more if they opened a Patreon account. And just started, begging people to go to their fucking Patreon. By the way, I do have a Patreon, if you guys are curious. This is a really cheap fucking plug, but what the hell? I'm gonna throw a link in this video's description to it if you want to if you want to pledge a little bit, go right ahead.
Oh my god, Emma. I am appalled that you would go out of your way to ask your fans for money. It's truly a sad day when such a magnificent YouTuber, nay, a god-tier YouTuber, is only in it for the money. Say it ain't so, Emma.
The rest of the video is him continuing to repeat, there are more ways to get money, they're only in it for the money, yada yada, blah blah blah, final thoughts.
Fuck off. Just fuck off. You're the greatest case of using double standards I've seen in my life. You spend an entire video trying to make this whole diatribe that you're better than everyone else because you don't do this for the money, yet what do you do in your own video? Shill, shill, shill. You have no sense of morality. You have no sense of fair gain. You have no sense of hard work. You have no sense of good quality. And you have no shits on your fans. You are a classic man of saying one thing and doing another. And honestly, it's sad. If I can be frank, when I started writing this, I was mainly doing a favor for Doodles to just double check her script before making it. But the more I kept watching your video, the more I wanted to find the highest tree in my town and see if it could hold your weight. Yes, it's too far. Yes, it's wrong. And yes, I don't mean it. But if the simple fact that your asinine behavior and childlike mentality of hard work and gain says anything, the rage was justified. Your lack of self-awareness is honestly stupefying and makes me wonder if you ever have sacrificed anything in your life. Have you ever gone out of your way to do something greater, or do you just like this thought of being in this perpetual motion of stagnant ideology that everything will be in place if you do nothing? I just don't have a nice day, don't collect $200, and get a real job.
Emer, your ego and your holier-than-thou mentality is really fucking repulsive, if I may be blunt. I don't even disagree that this is blown out of proportions, but it's still a problem nonetheless, as there are people who want to do this as a real job. And if you want to argue with me saying that it's not a paycheck, but instead is a royalty check, well, Emer, explain to me what the fucking difference is, because as far as I can see, there are people who can seem to make a steady living working on YouTube, even without being part of a network. And what about those people who do work for YouTube networks that hire them to do the money they do? Is it still not a paycheck? Where does that line get drawn?